Okay, before going for today's session, you guys have any doubts?
No, Venkat, from my end.
You, Ravali?
Nothing, Venkat. No, nothing.
Okay. Today we will start with dedupe sorted component. So what this dedupe sorted will do is, it separates one specified record in each group according to the key we specify and sends these records to the output port, and the rest of the records particular to the each of the group will be sending to the dupe port. So what it will do is, it separates one specified record in each group according to the key we specify and sends these records to the output port, and the rest of the records will be sending to the dupe port. So let me show you how this component looks like and what all the parameters we have it. Input port, reset, error, and log port. And coming to the output, and dupe port. That is a duplicate port. And coming to the parameters, the parameters we have are like key parameter. So this is one of the important parameter in the dedupe sorted. Based on the key parameter, whatever the fields we specify, it will be grouped under one of the group. So particular to one of the group, which record we are expecting it, that we have to specify it. Just to grouping the records, we will be using a key parameter. So once you define the key parameter and which record you are expecting from each of the group will be specified by using a parameter called keep. So this keep parameter will contain three values: first, lost, and unique. So once you identify the group, whether it could be a single field or a composite of the fields, once the group has been identified, on each of the group, if you are expecting the first record, select the keep as first, or the lost record particular to the each of the group, it should be a lost, or only you are expecting a unique groups, then you have to select unique. And related to this, in the join component we have a parameters called dedupe 0, dedupe 1. So there also internally a key parameter is behaving with the lost. So that is the reason for each of the group we are getting only lost values whenever we set dedupe parameters as dedupe this input. But here we have a provision to get either a first value or the lost value or only unique records. And we have a parameter called select. So this we are very sure how it will behave. it is equivalent to the where class, and wherever we find this select parameter or the function input select, these parameters and the functions will be executed first. So what are the records we want to process it? Only those records you can write an expression in this select parameter to process it. So I may be getting 10,000 records, but I wanted to process based on some of the expression, so that the resultant will be only 5,000 records. Yes, write an expression in the select to extract only the 5,000 records into the dedupe component, and based on this the key parameter will get executed and will split it into the groups, and then a key parameter will get executed. So based on the value you set it on the keep, one value or one record will be going to the output port, and all the records particular to that group will be going to the duplicate port. So this is for eliminating the duplicates in the process of our graph. And then we have a parameter called check sort. So the dedupe sorted always expects the data to be in the sorted order based on the key parameter, and the default value of the check sort is true. So if you're expecting unsorted data on the key parameter, the graph will fail, saying that the records coming to the dedupe sorted component on the key parameter are unsorted, and making this check sort to the false, which is not equivalent to the not using a dedupe sorted component at all. We will discuss more in detail practically, one example with the sorted data and other example with the unsorted data, by making check sort as a false, so that you will experience the result of making a check sort to the false. We'll see the practical. Okay, let's look at the data. Okay, we have 14 records, and the key we are expecting on the dedup sorted is customer ID, and we are expecting first record. So on the customer ID, we don't have the data in the sorted order. So using a sort component, we are using sort on the customer ID and on the payment date. Let me put a watcher on this flow so that I can get a sorted data. Okay. Now the data on the customer ID is in sorted order, and for each of the group we are expecting the first record to be in the output port. So for this customer only one record is there, so this record will be going to the output port. And for this group, two records are there. One record of amount 800 we are expected in the output. So here we got it, and the resultant record, all the records in that group will be going to the duplicate port, but we have only one record particular to that group, so that another record of rupees 1200 is there in dupe port. And similarly all the groups we have two records, and here we have again only one record, so this record will be flowing to the output port. And coming to the last group, 200 record will be going to the output port and 350 will be in the duplicate port. So like this, on each of the group, one record will be going to the output port, whatever we have selected using the key parameter, and all the records, other records related to the group will be going to the duplicate port. And let's change it to lost. Let me execute. Okay. Now we made it keep as lost. So on each of the group we are expecting the lost record to be part of the output port and all other records to be duplicates. So first group has only one record, so it will be going to the output, and second record, that is second group, we have two records, so we are interested on the last record, so 1200 record will be going to the output port, yes, and the 800 record will be participated in the duplicate port. All other records will be going to the duplicate. So similarly, we have only one record of this group will be participated in the output, and before it's like this record was in the duplicate port. Now we are expecting lost record, so which will come to the output port, and 200 will be going to the duplicate port. And let's make it unique records. So can you predict what records will go to the output port and what records will come to the duplicate port by making keep as a unique only?
The same 8 records will go to the output port.
Pardon?
I mean, each customer, I mean, each record from each group will go to the output port.
I'm not getting exactly what you are saying.
Venkat, I believe if there is only unique record.
Can you highlight which records you guys? Which records? Here we have 1 to 14. So in this 1 to 14, which records will go to output and which records will go to duplicate?
Venkat, I believe first record and 12th record will go to the output port.
This is what you are saying, Ravali?
Yes, Venkat.
Okay. Yes, absolutely right. So where all we have only one record particular to that group will be going to the output. All other will be treated as a duplicates. And we never do such kind of requirements. We mostly select either first or last. Only Preeti and Prakash are from the output. All other 12 records out of 14 will be in the duplicate. All other 12 records, two records in each group. Okay. Now I will disable this component and directly connect the flow from input to the dedup sorted. So what will happen? Now we are sending the unsorted records to the dedup sorted, but dedup sorted expects a sorted data. So, and one more point here, in the latest versions we have a parameter called checksort, but here we don't have a checksort parameter. So you will get the result or it will fail, you will see. It is not failing. All the records are sending to the output port. One second, we'll change the settings to the first. So now all the records are going because the first it is not taking this customer ID and this customer ID or equivalent, because it always expects assorted data. So even though we have the same customer ID which are related to the same group, it internally treats as a different groups, because once the record number has been changed, it treats as the group has been modified. So When the group has been modified, again this group is different and this group is different. And even though the same groups are also there, it treats as a different groups, and on every group it sends a first record to the output ports. So that is the reason we don't have a corresponding same group of records in the sequence of the order. Let me make it the second record, and this ninth record I wanted to move it to the third record, so then you can get the difference. Okay, so this record we will move it to third page. So now we have two records related to the each group. Let's view the data, whatever the changes we have done are reflecting or not. Yes, we got it. Now once again we will run the graph. So now one record has been moved to the duplicate port because it is feeling these two records are related to one group. So if the data is in sorted order, then only it is useful of using the dedup sorted. Otherwise we have to sort the data explicitly and send it. So we made it keep as first. So the first record is in output port and the other records will be in the duplicate port. So is it clear, Bhagraj and Ravali?
Yeah, Venkat.
Yes, Venk. And you said check sort parameter is not available for this version?
Yeah, yeah.
And what if checksort is false, Venkat?
Pardon? Same thing. It's internally operating with the check sort as false.
Okay, means it will pick all the data.
Yeah. So now whatever the example we have seen with disabling the sort component, it is making a check sort false equivalent to.
Mhm. Okay. So, for example, I have given checksort true,
Okay.
and I didn't give any sort component.
So it will
Then
fail.
in that case, graph will fail.
Yes, the graph will
Okay.
fail.
Mhm. And from which version these two are added? I think in my version also these two are not there. Select and checksort.
From 3 we have available all the parameters.
Okay. And Venkat, one more thing, the log component, na, when you will get the data in log port?
I didn't get. When?
When you have, sorry,
I didn't get your question.
there's one log port is there
Log port.
for each component
Yeah,
almost.
that will getting every time we will get the data. Log port. If you connect the file, so every time we will be getting
Uh,
the data.
it's which what kind of data?
It just gives the log how each record is getting processed and what all the phases we have. So everything, whatever we the graph is doing, everything the data will be there in the log port.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And in real-time examples, we directly don't connect the log port to the files. We will be having inbuilt components, or else directly we will be getting these components from the Abinitio operation itself. In most of the projects, whatever I have seen, so those components will get connected to all these unused or reject or on the log port all together at a one time. into the different files. We don't directly connect the output files to these ports. If required, we can connect it also.
Okay.
Which version you are using currently?
Mine is 1.15.12.
Okay. And the next component we have is filter by expression. So this component also looks like similar to the dedup sortage, but the ports are different. Input port, reset, error, and log port. But instead of out under the duplicate port, here we will be having out or select, we call it as, and deselect port. And coming to the parameters, see, most of the time whenever we are using a filter by expression component, and before discussing this, can you guys uh, think why do we require this filter by expression? Because the question I am asking you is, here the parameter we will be containing is select expression. Select underscore expr. This is the only parameter it will be available, and along with this we have another parameter also, but 95% times we will be utilizing this select expression parameter only, which is equivalent to the select parameter in the other components. So then why do we require a component, extra component called filter by expression?
Mm. Venkat, in other components, if you select the data,
Okay.
then the deselected data will get disappear. It won't be picked up by any port.
Yeah.
But here I think we are picking up the deselected data as well.
And yeah, that could be, yes, one reason. And most of the times we don't use a deselected record, and sometimes there is a possibility of utilizing that, but this is one reason. Any other reasons why do we require?
No idea, Venkat, from my.
Okay, so as I said, here it will be containing only the select expression parameter or some other and another parameter which will again use it for selecting the records only. But here we are not doing any of the transformation. It's a default transformation will get applied here. But if you see any of the other components, a transform parameter will be there, whether you assign or change the values from the input to the output or not, but explicitly we have to write a logic. Even though it's a default assignment, we have to do it. So each of the records, once it gets selected, again it has to go to the transform parameter and execute the transform function, and then get assigned the input fields values to the output field values. So it consumes at least a minimum amount of the time when compared to the filter by expression. But we don't require in the filter by expression a transform parameter on the default logic. It internally executes it and a bit faster than the other components. So when we have to use this, so whenever you are expecting the records to be filtered, and it's not just before or after that any of the transform components where we have a select parameter. So if we are using any of these partition components or the departition components, and instead of any of the transform components where you don't require the transform to be executed, just a filtering of the records, then we have to use a filter by expression component. This is another reason where when we have to go for this. Clear?
Yeah, Venkat.
You, Ravali?
Yes, Venkat.
Okay. And one parameter I said select expression. So here a simple logics can be written in this select expression parameter. But what if you have a requirement to filter the records based on, it's not just a simple expression. You have to write a block of the code, and then you have to take a decision whether this record has to be selected as process as part of the process or not. So in such a case, we have a parameter called use package parameter, and by default the use package parameter will be false. So we are saying that I don't want to use a package parameter. I just wanted to use a select expression parameter. So if something which you cannot be achieved using by select expression parameter, then make it the use package parameter as a true. Then only a parameter called package will get enabled. So in this parameter, a package parameter, you have to write a function called select. So if it is a function, yes, we have a lot of scope which can be done anything, whatever we want it according to the business rules. So select function you have to write, which in turn takes input as an argument. Means the whole record, whatever it is coming to the filter by expression, we can access in this select function. And we can use any of the inbuilt functions also to decide. So let's say like I have a lookup file. I want to get the record from the lookup file and then calculate some of the business rules, and the value of the what is getting is in between the values whatever I'm expecting. Then only I need to select the record. All those things we cannot do in select expression. So we have to go for a package parameter, and in the select function we have to write it. So is it clear when we have to go for filter by expression, what are the reasons and what all the parameters are available, and among the parameters which parameter or the function could be utilized when?
Yeah.
And Venkat, again, it's a kind of transform, I mean, deformate function, right? We are using some transform function here.
I'm not getting.
No, no, here we are using package. In that we are assigning some functions or something. Okay.
Yeah, select
So
function
again,
we
it
have
will
to
be
write.
like, yeah, again, it will be like kind of transform function, right?
We are not writing any of the transformation. We are not assigning the fields here. If you can think like in this select function, we are returning either it's true or false. Means either a 0 or 1 will get assigned from this output. Let's say from the
Mm-hmm.
input fields you are getting 10 fields for each of the records. So all the 10 fields has to be assigned to the output or not, it has to be assigned. So we are not doing out dot field 1 colon colon in dot field 1 like this to the 10 fields.
Okay, okay.
Internally it will happen if
Mm-hmm.
inbuilt. But what the value we are returning in the package parameter by using a select function is either 0 or 1, which says that the record has to be sent to the output port or to the deselect port. Means we are selecting that record or rejecting it. I mean, it is sending to the deselect or not. That is what we are doing here. We are not assigning any of the fields to the output.
Okay.
Am I answering your question, Bhagiraj?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's look at the data first. I think same number of records, 14. And the expression we have is the payment amount should be greater than 1500. So whichever the condition satisfies will go to the output port, all records will come to the deselect port. So only there are 3 records where the payment amount is greater than 1500. So here all the amounts are greater than 1500, and here in the deselect all the amounts are less than 1500. And in this version we don't have this package parameters, only the select expression is there. But in 3.1 we have a use package parameter and then package parameter also. Clear?
Yeah, one.
Okay. And the next component we have is a fuse component.
Venkat, I
Yeah.
think with filter by expression and filter by key, and there are few more, right?
No, not filter by key, partition by key, that is.
Partition by, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, that is different and this is different.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Okay. And then we have a component called fuse. So what this component will do is it combines multiple input flows into a single output flow. Whenever you have a requirement to combine these flows of the records, so let's see the data, then you will be more clear. So whenever you are expecting these two flows to be combined into the output, like field 1, 2, 3, 4, it's like a vertically, then you have to use a fuse component, and most of the times this component we don't at all use this. Here also we have a parameter called count. So based on the count parameter, input, reject and error codes are dependent on this. And we have a transform parameter. So here we have to write a functions called select and fuse. Select is an optional function and fuse we have to write it. So let me show the ports of the output. So here we are taking all the fields 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 fields are assigned as nullable fields, and the first 2 fields are not nullable fields. So what is the logic we have written here? The select function is defined means whatever the value that is coming from the in 0 field is defined or not, we are checking it. So in the select expression, field 1 from in 0 and field 3 from in 1, both the values has to be defined. Then only that record will be selected, otherwise it will not be selected. So once the record has been selected, then the mapping will be happening here. So the first priority will be taking the values from the in 0, all the values get assigned, then the values from in 1 are mapping to the output fields. So let me execute this. Okay, so here we got only one record. On the other flow with same input files, we are getting two records. So what could be the reason of the first output file only one record, 10, 20, 30, 40, and here both the records we are getting it. So the reason is the select function. Here we have changed the select function only to check is defined of in 0 field. On the other one we have in the first example we have in 1 dot field 3 also is that is to be defined, but we are getting a null value. So there the condition or the expression will be failure. So that record will not be coming to the fuse. So that is the reason here you are able to see only one record. But here we are checking only one condition. In 0 dot field 1 is assigned or a defined, then the with those values it has to be come to the fuse. So if you have a requirement like this, in 0 and in 1 fields to be combined to the output, then we can use a fuse component. But as far as I see, we never utilize this component. Is it clear?
Yeah, Venkat.
Okay. So here we have completed the transform components. So I wanted to give one requirement for you. You can try with this. How can you see now what we have done? Each of the components we have individually we discussed what it will do and what all the parameters we have and what is the runtime execution of these components. So each of the parameter we have seen. Now this requirement will say that how which component you have to utilize and how to integrate all these components. Just give me 2 minutes. We will discuss about this requirement. Okay. So can we go ahead with this requirement, right? So do you have any doubts on any of the components of the transform?
Venkat, just tell me one thing, this output index and output indexes ones.
Yeah. And anything else?
No, Venkat.
Okay, you Ravali, you have any doubts?
For now, nothing, Venkat.
Okay, yeah, we'll discuss this output index and indexes. So from the input you are getting some of the records. So if you have a requirement that the record has to be sent to only one output port, then you have to use output index. No, each input record has to be splitted to multiple output ports, then you have to use output indexes. So once we discuss this component, we have given a small example with the file which contains header, body of the records and trailer records. So here we have to use a count as a 4 so that we will be having out 0, 1, 2 and 3. So the first output port, that is out 0, should contain only the header records, and out 1 should contain only body records, and out 2 should contain only trailer records, and the other file, output 3 file, should contain all the records, header, body and trailer. So in this case, how will you decide which parameter you have to use, whether output index or output indexes? Because if you can see, one record at any cost, it has to go to the out 3, that is the lost file. And let's take it header file. The header file has to go to the 0th file and third file also, that is out 3. So one input record we are expecting to split to the two output files, then definitely we have to use output indexes. Let's forget about this output out 3 port. If I say like only header has to go one port and body records to go to another port and trailer records to go to the another port, then you have to use output index because each of the record is going to only one of the output port. Clear, Bhagiraj?
Yeah,
And output index returns a decimal value, means it will be like 0, 1, 2, 3 like that, and we have to make sure that whatever the values we are returning, it should be equivalent to the port numbers, and output indexes will return a vector value which in turn executes each of the transform again, then returns the record to the output ports.
okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then we will discuss about this requirement now. So you can try doing this. Let's say from the input file, I have a customer's data like customer ID, a name, address fields, state, and the zip code. So when I say address fields, it's not just one field. We have like address line 1, address line 2, address line 3. Three fields are there. Then state and the zip code we have it. And coming to the output file, what we are expecting is from the input, make a note of this. What you have to do is from the input file, customer ID, address line 1, address line 2, address line 3, and state and zip code.
Venkat, are you showing something?
No, I'm not showing anything.
This.
I wanted you to make a note.
Yeah, okay.
So you said input file has customer ID, name, address
No,
field,
name,
state, and zip.
it's not there. I wanted to get it the name from the other file. Of course, we have not discussed this concept as of now, but you can give a trial how to get the name. So this part I'm not expecting the result from you guys, but if you can do that, it's good. The input file has customer ID, address line 1, address line 2, address line 3, state, zip code. So total 3 plus 3. 6 fields are there. Clear?
Okay.
So this is the input file, and the output file will be customer ID, customer name, address line 1, line 2, line 3, state name. So whatever the input
Okay.
file I said state, take it as a state code in the input file, and the output file should appear state code and state name also. The input file has only state code, and the output file you can take it state code and state name also. Okay,
Okay.
and we have a zip code right from the input.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in India we have the zip codes like 6 digits, but in other countries it will be like 9 digits also. So we will take it like that example. So zip code, let's say we have a 9-digit number. So the output we are expecting is zip underscore 5 as one field and zip underscore 4 as another field. So zip 5 should contain the digits from the zip input field from 1 to 5, and the zip 4 output field should contain 6 to 9. 6, 7, 8 and 9 digits. One second. Okay, so we have discussed till zip codes, right? Zip 5 and zip 4, what values to be appeared, are you clear?
Yeah, Venkat.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have another field called rank. So totally how many fields in the output? Customer
10.
ID, name, address line 1, line 2, line 3, rank,
9.
Check.
state code, state name, zip 5 and zip 4. Clear?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and how the rank to be calculated here is, okay, before going for the rank, let's take it some of the records from the input you have, like a values like ACCT or account ACCOUNT or like FCC. For address line 1, if these values are containing, then we don't want these records to be processed. Other than these records, we have to process it.
Uh,
Yeah, Bhagraj, any
I
question?
didn't get Venkat.
Okay, so there will be some values for address lines, right? So if
Yeah.
address line 1 contains a values like ACCT, a short form of account, or a full form of account, ACCOUNT account, or a value called FCC, then we don't want to process these records. Clear?
okay.
So this is one validation we will be doing it. And for each of the customer, we can expect multiple records also, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if there are a multiple records and one of the records, if it contains a PO box, so let's take it for one of the customer, we have two records. So one of the records, let's take it, second record has a PO box. So, and the other record has just a normal address without a PO box. Means if you feel that address box contains this value, then you have to give that record for that customer as rank as 1. The other record where we have the normal address to be given the rank as 2. If both the records contains a PO box, then you can pick any one to be given as rank 1. Is it clear
Okay.
how to calculate the rank?
Yeah. Yes, yes. If two records has the rank 1, then we need to pick up only one record.
No. If two records have a PO box, I said like
Yeah.
customer ID, one record
Mhm.
with a normal address and the second record with PO box, right? First one.
Okay.
So in such a case, second record has to be given rank as 1 because that record has address as PO box. So that says that it's a perfect address where I need to dispatch the message. Okay. And if both the records has a PO box, you can pick randomly whatever the record, you can give the rank as 1. Either it's a first record or the second record, we don't bother because both have a PO box. Both are prioritized.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And at any cost, this state code should not be null. State code and state names should not be null. Okay. And coming to the customer name, you have another file which contains customer ID and customer name only. So from this file, you have to get the customer names. From the input file, we don't have customer names, but you have another file with customer ID and customer name. So from this file, you have to get the customer names. So the requirement is clear. What are the fields from the input? What are the fields we are expecting in the output? And and one more thing. And this address line 1, again, we said how to calculate the rank, right? One validation we said like it should not be part of these values, account or ACCT or FCC. And the another validation is whatever the address line 1 we have it, that first character should be part of 0 to 9 or capital A to capital Z or hash. These are the only valid characters. If it is starting with, let's say, small a, then it's an not a good record. We can take it as a bad record. So the validation will be the address line ones to be 0 to 9 or capital A to Z or only the hash or the allowable values of the address line 1. So this is one more validation. Okay. So
And Venkat, from where we can pick up this state name?
pardon?
State name.
You have to get another file with state codes and state names. So from that
Okay.
file, you have to take the state names.
Okay.
So the requirement is clear. These are the validations
Yeah.
and this is the input file and output file we are expecting. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it clear, Ravali? The steps, whatever we
Yeah.
discussed?
And are you expecting to have a graph for this?
No. You can try to design this graph on a paper and what all the components you will be using and what logic you will be using. That is what.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So you wanted,
Venkat, I will just explain one.
yeah, tell me.
I will tell you the requirement. Just confirm me once, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, input file contains 6 fields. Okay.
Yes.
Customer ID, address line 2, 3, state code, zip code.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Wait. Customer ID, address line 1, address line 2, address line 3, state code and zip code.
Yes,
Right?
exactly. Yeah.
Six record.
Yeah.
Okay. Your expecting output should be 9 records. 9
fields.
fields. Okay. Among those, in address line 1, if there is any ACCT or account or FCC, then that should be rejected. It should
Yeah.
not be picked up for the output, right?
Yeah, that should not be processed.
Uh, okay. And in address line 3, where we need to keep this PO box, where we need to check which
Address
address
line
line?
one.
Address line 3 or address line 1?
One. Address line
Address
one.
line 1 only.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
In address line 1, there should be some PO box.
yeah.
Yeah. There is PO box number, then that should be rank 1.
Yes.
Otherwise, it should be rank 2 if there is 2 records.
Yes, exactly.
If there is only 1 record without PO number, then we need to give rank to that, right?
So rank one.
Okay, if there is no PO number but record is only 1, then it should be rank 1.
Yes. Minimum it has to be given one.
Okay. And state code and state name should not be null.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any other requirement?
And the address line one, again, one more validation. The starting
Yeah.
character has to be started with 0 to 9 or capital A to capital Z or hash.
Okay, fine.
It should not start with small letters or any other characters. It should not be dollars like this.
Okay.
If you have such kind of the records, it should not come into the output.
Yeah.
Okay.
The address line 1 should start with either something between 0 to 9 or A to Z or hash, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And A to Z is capital letters. It should not start. If it starts with the small also, it should not be processed.
Okay.
So the requirement is clear, right?
Yeah.
So can we expect this tomorrow or you want to take some time?
Most probably I can give tomorrow.
Okay. If you wanted the time, then we can postpone the class to day after tomorrow. That is fine. It's as per your wish.
Yeah.
No, that's okay, Ankat. We can try it out tomorrow. We can discuss this tomorrow.
Okay, fine. Yeah, then tomorrow we will discuss and then we will go ahead with the next concept.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
PM చూసినావా? రావా